Hi, my name is Alejandra Arbat. I'm Product Director in Globant. And today I will be sharing some thoughts about this new AI agent era. And hopefully this will become an opportunity to reflect on and think about what's coming next. So let's start imagining that I come here and I casually tell you, tomorrow I'm taking a rocket to Mars. What would you think would be your reaction? You'd probably think that I'm joking, or maybe that I'm just crazy, right? And that's because going to Mars or taking a rocket is not part of our current reality. When I was learning product design at university, I learned there was a concept developed by a designer that speaks and explains this. And it's called MAYA. MAYA stands for Most Advanced Yet Acceptable. And this means that when we are launching a new product or creating a product, we need to keep a balance between familiarity for users and the level of innovation that we are introducing. If we cross the limit of innovation, if we create something that people don't understand or can't accept, then that product will fail. So let's keep this concept in mind. And now let's think about another scenario. Let's imagine that I come here and I tell you that instead of opening my Uber app, following the steps and clicking buttons in order to configure my trip and pay, I just take my phone and say, please schedule the best way to arrive to my meeting in 10 minutes. What do you think now? It seems more achievable, right? It seems closer. And that's because the AI agent era has already begun. And we are ready for it. This is generating major behavioral changes. And I would like to speak today about them regarding these three dimensions or aspects, which are the new user experience that this is creating, the big shift that this implies for companies, and the new professional challenges that we have, and especially I will speak about product management, which is my field. So let's start with the first one, which is the new user experiences. I will tell you 6 topics or aspects that I think are really interesting about that. The first one is that what we see is that we are switching from traditional apps where the user have to solve their needs by clicking buttons and doing like a manual process with different steps to more conversational interfaces focused on user needs. So this is connected to the example that I made before when I was talking to my cell phone and just explaining the need that I have, and the agent will solve this need for me. The second one is that agents will know us better than nobody else. They will know what we like, what we don't, what things we previously bought, if we have family or friends, our emotions, and this will allow AI agents to create anticipatory experiences. So agents will interact with people in different ways. Nowadays, if we enter into an app, the app is the same for everybody, right? But in the future, what we will see is that these interfaces will change according to people, to the person that the agent is interacting with. And this will create dynamic interfaces that are going to change also for each person. For example, if my emotion is in one moment, it will be different in another moment, and this interface will change, and this will create hyper-personalization. We also envision that in the short term, from 1 to 3 years, we will continue using cell phones, but maybe interacting in a different way, as I was mentioning before, with with an agent and explaining in a conversational interface the things that I want to solve. But in the midterm, like from 3 to 5 years, we expect to switch from cell phones to wearables and augmented reality. And this is already happening, right? I bought my AI sunglasses more than one year ago. I'm currently using them, so while I'm walking in the street, I can answer my WhatsApp messages and listen to music or ask questions to the AI. So we are also entering into this new way of interacting. And in the long term, what we expect is a brain-computer interaction. We don't know how yet, we don't know the way. Some people speak about chips under the skin or tattoos. We don't know yet. And the reason we don't know how it will be is because that's long term. And here comes again the concept of Maya, right? Because if you tell me now that I have to put a chip under my skin, I'm not sure if I want to do it, right? I don't know if I'm prepared for that. So we need to follow previous steps to be prepared for that. The next one, I think it's really, really interesting, and for me it's fascinating, because technology constantly influences the perception that we have of the world, the way we live. As agents are going to do things on behalf of us, the decision-making process will be compressed. Instead of, for example, if I want to buy something, going through the typical customer journey, discovering things and then considering and comparing different options, etc., I just will say to this agent that I want to buy something, and the agent will help me to do that. So this will create an acceleration of the results that I will have. This will influence the expectations that we have for those results. And this has already happened in the past, right? For example, if we take the example of music, it was not the same when we used to listen music with CD, with compact discs, where we had to go to a store, buy the CD, then go back to our houses and put the CD into the CD player and select the song that we want to play, and then we could listen to that song. And it took a lot of time to do it. And now we have Spotify, and we have all these songs all over the world in our feed, right? So that changed the perception that we have of time and the expectations that we have to those results. And for example, we can see it also if we try to watch a movie from the 80s, it's very difficult to keep focused on it because times are different. And what we expect is with agents, this time perception will keep accelerating. I don't know, I'm not saying that this is good, I'm just saying that I think this will happen. The next one is also really interesting for me, and it's that nowadays, if we want to, for example, buy something, I can ask to some friend or maybe my family to get an opinion, or maybe if I follow an influencer and this person tells me, oh, I bought this thing that is really great, maybe that influences my buying behavior, right? But with agents, and because the agent will know us very well and will understand our preferences, this is of course evolving, but the agent will make better decisions for us because the agent will know us. So the trust that we maybe now have in other people will switch, and we will be put more on agents, okay? And I think this will also influence probably marketing strategies, right? It will create also big changes, as we will see later. And the last one, maybe it's pretty obvious now that I mentioned all these things before, is that agents will hold the power in the customer journey and will act on behalf of the customers. This takes me to the next topic or dimension that I wanted to speak about, which is how this is creating a big shift in companies' strategies. If we go back about, 30 years ago or 40 years ago, we can see that brands or companies had to build their identity, right? They had to design their logos, their stores, to define the marketing campaigns or advertisings, and that was because companies had a direct relationship with customers. They talked to their customers directly. When retailers like Amazon appeared, this changed, because instead of going to a specific store, for example, now I can go to Amazon or Mercado Libre and I can compare the product, different options of the product that I want to buy. So if I want to buy a jacket, I have different options, I can compare prices. Now appeared this new figure in the middle between customers and companies or the brands, which are retailers. With agents, this is changing again. And it's changing because not only for brands, but also for retailers, because agents will be our unique source of interaction, our unique point of interaction. So because of that, companies need to pay attention in their strategies, because companies have to become relevant not only for retailers, but also for agents, to be visible for agents and for the algorithm. So in order to do that, we have to keep in mind that agents will optimize their selection or the things that are going to show us across at least these 5 dimensions. The first one is price. Who offers the lowest price? The second one is availability. Can the product be delivered quickly? The third one is reliability. So how effectively does the retailer fulfillment and returns? How the retailer manage that? The fourth one is service. How is the post-purchase service of this company? And the last one is trust. What do unbiased reviews say? Let's imagine that I want to buy a keyboard, for example, and I ask my agent to find the best keyboard for me. And let's imagine that there are 2 keyboards, 2 options, one from a very known brand and the other one, it's a generic one. The generic one has really good price, it has really good life cycle, so it has like very good reviews and it's really good. And the one of the very known brand, it's more expensive and it has like similar characteristics of the other one. Probably the agent will pick the generic one. And I think this will create a big impact, not only for marketing, for example, marketing strategies, but also I think this will change the way we manage the emotions. Maybe we will be less emotional at the moment of buying or consuming things. The third topic that I want to mention is that, of course, all these changes will create challenges for us as professionals. And specifically for product management, we are switching to what we call the traditional product manager to the AI product manager. Traditional product management came from a time when software was predictable, right? So we define specific features, we define predictable flows for the user, we could execute A/B testings or controlled testings or experiments, And we also have build or write user stories and write exact requirements of what we wanted, and then the development team just build it. But with agents, it's a totally new game, because agents learn, agents adapt and change. So now we have to switch the way we think. It's not just about, picking some tools or framework or reading about AI agents. It's also more connected to experiment with them, to understand, to be able to be surprised by agents, and to understand how they behave in order to be able to build products according to that. So I want to mention a few aspects, maybe comparing from the apps era to the agents era, that I think will impact us as professionals and product managers while building products. The first one is related to autonomy and proactive behavior. We know, as I was mentioning before, that agents adapt and change and make their own decisions. So for us, when we are creating products with agents, we need to also pay attention to define objectives for these agents, to define boundaries, and also to define which is the decision criteria that this agent has to follow. The next one is that we are used to work with what we call the user-centered design, but with agents we also have to include what we call the context-centered design and the continuity-centered design. And this is related to manage also the context that the agent will have, the memory, and the environmental changes that this will imply. The next one is related to the infrastructure, architecture and modularity and governance. So to ensure security, privacy, to ensure auditability and observability, agents require more complex infrastructure than traditional apps. So there are some layers that we have to add. For example, the semantic and contextual layer. We have to pay attention to APIs with external tools and monitoring of autonomous actions. The next topic is related to metrics. We are used to maybe measure engagement, crashes, or conversion rates. But now we will also need to pay attention to how the agent is behaving. If it has correct autonomous decisions, if it has consistency, if it's trusted by the user. The next one is connected to the different evaluation systems. We used to have a deterministic features, as I was mentioning before, and this also was connected to the deterministic pass and fail criteria that we use in order to test our applications or developments. Now we have to also assess autonomous behavior and the decision quality of the agents. Because agents, as I was also mentioning before, adapt and learn and change, we also need to think about feedback loops. We need to continue analyzing and auditing what the agent, how the agent is working. So we have to do iterative analysis, we have to do error handling. It's not that we build something and it's there and that's it. We have to keep watching at it. The next one is related to visibility and discovery, and this was connected also to what I was mentioning before about companies being visible for agents. With agents, we have to be very careful to be highlighted to the algorithm, and agents will have to pick the best solution, and we want to be there. The last one is that I think we will need stronger interdisciplinary collaboration with engineers, with AI engineers, with ethics and security experts, with system architects, with UX designers that are AI aware. This will need more collaboration between different professionals. So in conclusion, I think leaders of tomorrow will orchestrate ecosystems of agents where users rely on AI agents to solve their needs, where companies will compete to get attention from the algorithm, and where professionals have to design behaviors and guardrails and outcomes for systems that think and adapt. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you very much.